Hey, and welcome back to another video of learning Java 2D game programming. So in our last video, we implemented some simple collision detection and introduced the CollisionBox class. Currently, we don't use it for much. Just as an example, we told our NPCs to stop whenever they collided with the player. And currently you can see that this collision area is very large because currently we are using the size of our unit, which is basically the size of our sprite, and this is actually the size of our sprite, but we don't want to use that, right? We want our collision box to be smaller. So that's what we're going to do today. And in order to make it smaller, we need to see what we're doing. So we are going to start by introducing a DebugRenderer. All right, let's get to it. So the first thing I want to do is actually to go into our game package, make a package called settings, and in here make a new class called game settings. Because eventually we might want to toggle debug mode on and off, and we might want several different things to react to this. So I just want to keep this inside of a class, inside of a variable. So right now this is only going to have a boolean that says debug mode. So Alt insert and create a constructor. And also let's make a getter. All right, I think this will do. So we want to use it inside of the game. Make sure that your game has a game settings. Call it just settings. And we need to make the settings is equal to new game settings, and let's for now initialize it with debug mode set to true. So here we go. We are rendering and we're taking in the states. I want to also tell the display if we should render debug stuff or not. So call it using settings is debug mode and go into your display render. And here take in a boolean that says debug mode. Okay, so the things that we want to render in debug mode, we don't know what all of those things are yet. Today we're going to render the collision box so we can see how large it is and where it is so that we can resize and move it. But I want to keep the debug rendering code outside of the regular renderer, just so we don't mix them up, because it might be a lot of code and it might not be as good looking, you know. We don't want too big of classes. So we're actually going to make another renderer. If you go into your display, just create a new Java class and call it the DebugRenderer. So for now, let's just steal this render method from the renderer. All right, so we don't have render map here right now, and we also don't want to render the sprite. Okay, what I want to do right now is to map, and what map will do is that since this is a stream that we're working on, first we're filtering it with whatever's in view. Map will make it a stream of something else. You can convert it inside. Of course, we still have the game object, but if I want to, I could say get collision box, and after this map step, we have a stream of collision boxes. All right, so let's just say private void draw collision box, which will take in of course, a state. Do we need the state? We don't need a state. We do need a collision box, however. So the collision box that we're going to draw, we want the graphics that we're going to draw too, and we want the camera as well. So instead of the camera, we could have taken the state, but I don't think we need the entire state. Let's just get the camera. So for each, we can now say collision box, and then we can say draw collision box. We have the collision box, we have the graphics, we have the camera. We have everything we need. So in here, we need to give our collision box a color. So I'm gonna set my color to red. And then to visualize it, I will draw a rectangle. So get CollisionBox, get bounce, get X, and then say minus camera. Let's see, get position. And we can of course do get X here because, no, let's do int X. So the thing is, the get X inside of the rectangle gives us a double, which is sad. So we'll just cast it to an int. All right, so do the same with the Y, getting the Y, and also CollisionBox, get bounds, get width, which is also a double, and then int CollisionBox, get bounds, get height. All right, so now we render this. We have to go back to the display class and say that if debug mode, then DebugRenderer, which we haven't made yet, render state and graphics. So let's create a DebugRenderer in here. DebugRenderer. There we go, and let's initialize it. All right, now we can use it. So let's see if we forgot something. Let's try it out. And we didn't, and now you can see what our collision boxes are looking like. So currently they are way too large, right? They should not be this large. And you can see that when the NPCs, when their boxes are touching the player's box, they stop. All right, so let's resize our boxes. Now that we can see what they look like, this shouldn't be too hard. So go to your moving entity, which is the one that we're using currently, and let's just make a new size called CollisionBox size. All right, and in here, let's set CollisionBox size to a new size, make it smaller. I'm gonna start by 32 by 32, so half the size of what we already have. And we need to use this instead of size here when we are getting the collision box. So use that for the width and the height. And there we go. And now we can see what that looks like. Okay, so it's still too large, but at least it's smaller. So I probably want mine to be about half this width maybe, but not very much shorter. We'll see. The width, if we try 16, but the height was almost good, so I'm gonna try 28. What about this? This is looking quite okay, isn't it? I'm kind of happy with this. And if you want to see what it looks like without the boxes drawn, we'll just go back to our game where we create the game settings and set it to false. And now you can see what this looks like. So before they were all standing in a very large rectangle around him, but now you can see that they stop quite close to him. So now our collision box is much smaller. So this is probably more what we want. And I think this will be it for this video. And in the next video, we are going to fix what happens when they collide a little bit. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Hej då!